Thank you, Krista. The committee must vote on a chair pro tem. We don't have a vice chair for the work group of economic impact.
And we don't have a quorum of the committee yet, it looks like.
Okay, so let's wait a few minutes and then we'll see if we will get the quorum.
Stoyan, who are the voting members of this committee?
Tony, Todd Beiruter, Micah, Chell Anderson, Caroline Traub, and Corey Walker. The work group of economic impact is composed of the technical advisory group chairs. This is based on our bylaws.
Just out of curiosity, how many chairs do we need to have a quorum?
4. We need 4.
So we need one more.
Currently, we have 3. We need 1 more.
So we need either Todd or Chelda. Although we have a quorum of the council.
Yes, it appears this way, right? Let's wait 2 more minutes. We'll do the roll call. If we don't have the quorum, we still can have the meeting. And the plan was, okay, I'll keep this for after the quorum, after the roll call.
I'm going to take advantage. I'm going to run down to my vehicle. I left an item in there I need to give to somebody. So I will return in 4 or 5 minutes, something. But anyway, I'm here for the quorum. I will be here.
I don't see we have a quorum, but Krista, let's do the roll call. If we don't have a quorum, we'll take a break and we will rejoin at 10:15. We'll try again. And if we have most of the council members attending, if at 10:15 the council members want to have a discussion related to the PNNL report and the cost benefit analysis, we can have that without any vote. If not, then we have to adjourn the meeting.
Tony Doan. Todd Bayreuther. Micah Chappell.
Here.
Chell Anderson. Caroline Traub.
Here.
Corey Wilker.
He was here, he'll be back.
So we still do not have a quorum.
Okay, let's take 10 minutes. Yes.
This is Roger Herringa. I just joined about a minute ago. And I'm here. I don't know if I count.
No, you don't,
Okay.
unfortunately.
All right.
Let's take a break and we'll try again at 10:15. I hope everybody is back from the early break. So Krista, can you proceed with the roll call?
Tony Doan. Todd Bayreuther. Micah Chappell.
Here.
Chell Anderson.
Present.
Caroline Traub.
Here.
Corey Wilker. Are you there, Corey?
I'm checking if his name is here.
And when he shows, we will have a quorum.
If he decides to show. Okay, so waiting for Corey, let's clarify the procedure a little bit. So our bylaws are saying that the council chair shall preside the work group of economic impact meetings, and in the absence of the council chair, the work group of economic impact shall appoint a chair pro tem. This is the first thing. So after again Corey shows up, we can do that. We have two agenda items that are the standard agenda items: review and approve the agenda and the minutes from April 20th. For the cost benefit analysis, you see some funny signs under public comment and committee action. Why you see those signs? First, the comment period ended at October 14th. So the committee may allow some limited public comments if the committee wish to do that. However, these public comments shouldn't be considered part of the regular comment period in the testimony. Again, it ended on October 14th. PNNL folks will be here. What we have today is the PNL draft report. We have an agreement with PNL to develop a final report for the cost benefit analysis. This is an independent third-party report. Okay, so we can ask questions. We can ask PNL to clarify, and we can recommend, but PNL again is an independent entity that they need to develop an independent report based on how they understand it and based on their procedure. We invited our council members, but the council members were optional, and the committee members were required to attend this meeting. So this is why the invite went to our council members. And I have to take the blame here for messing up the date. I provided wrong direction to Annette. So it was, the meeting was scheduled by mistake for yesterday. And then when we realized that, we sent another Gov delivery notice with the right date. I see Corey is here now.
Yes.
Okay. We have a quorum then. And again, as I said, Corey, probably you didn't hear that, but the chair is not here. So in the absence of the council chair, the work group of economic impact shall appoint a chair pro tem for this particular meeting. Anybody who wants to volunteer? Yes, Micah?
I don't want to volunteer, but I would make a motion that Chael be appointed as the pro tem chair for this meeting.
Do we have a second?
This is Caroline. I'll second.
Okay, anybody in support? We don't need to do the roll call.
Is Chael in support of that? Would be the question.
This is what
I'm okay with it. I'm not necessarily in support, but I'm okay with it.
Corey, you okay with that?
Yes, because I'm not qualified.
Well, I don't know if you are not. I think you are, but if okay. Caroline, you okay with Chael?
Yes.
Okay, Chael, you are good. You got just a new promotion.
All right. I hope it comes with a pay bump. Gonna double my building code council salary. Okay.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Welcome to the. I guess I'm the chair, so welcome to the work group on economic analysis. We've done a roll call already, right? So we don't need to do that. Review and approve agenda is the first item. You see it on your screen. Any motions on approval or changes to the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Hey,
Nobody's opposed because I saw the members all say aye, or any opposed. Okay, we have an agenda in front of us. Now we're going to look at the meeting minutes from our last meeting. Once we scroll through those, we can take a motion. Okay, anybody move to do anything?
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes for the motion, say aye.
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 I
Okay, any opposed, say nay. All right, we have minutes. One question, Stoyan, should we let members of the public introduce themselves? We do that at council meetings. We do that at tag meetings.
Yes.
Okay, yep. we'll go backwards just a little bit, and are there members of the public who would like to be recognized? Just unmute yourself and state your name and affiliation. If you are interested, you are not required to do so.
Okay, I'll go first. Hi, this is Matt Tyler. I'm a mechanical engineer with Pacific Northwest National Labs, PNNL, and I'm part of the small team here who is tasked with supporting the independent cost-benefit analysis for the Washington State Energy Code.
Thank you, Matt. I'm glad you're able to be here today. And I guess maybe we have lots of people, so why don't you raise your hand? Raising your hand is under reactions, and then you raise your hand, and then you go to the top of the line, and then once you are done, you lower your hand, and we'll cede the floor to the next person. Okay, Terry Beals.
Good morning, everyone. Terry Beals representing Sound Transit on regulatory code compliance.
Thanks, Terry. Kevin.
This is Kevin Doyle with Northwest Natural. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Robert.
Yeah, this is Rob Salcedo with Pacific Northwest National Labs as part of the cost effectiveness analysis. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Carolyn. Carolyn, I don't hear you if you are talking.
I'm sorry, Carolyn Logue, representing Washington Air Conditioning Contractors Association and Northwest Hearth Patio and Barbecue Association. I got a little too fixated on lowering my hand.
Thank you for doing that. Elliot Brown, or Elliot.
Elliot Brown, Johnstone Supply.
Thanks, Elliot. Damon.
Damon Doyle, representing residential construction.
And Damon is also on the Building Code Council. Andrea.
Hi, Andrew Smith with the Building Industry Association of Washington.
Thanks, Andrea. Ty.
Ty Jennings, Cascade Natural Gas.
Thanks, Ty. Roger.
Roger Herringa, State Building Code Council.
Thanks, Roger. Jeanette. Jeanette, we don't hear you. It says Jeanette is connecting to audio right now, so go ahead, Jeanette. Okay. Jeanette, you can introduce yourself another time. Let's move on. We have the minutes. Now we're to the cost benefit analysis. I guess, Stoyan, would you like to introduce the process and requirements and then hand it over to PNNL to briefly go through the analysis?
Yes. So first, again, I want to clarify the signs under comments and actions. So committee action may or may not be required because the committee doesn't need to vote on the report we have today, but the committee can recommend or direct staff, the council staff, to do something. So this is why we have this item there. And again, the council will be taking limited public comments on this item because, again, the comment period ended on October 14. The council had the work session on October 21st. So if there are clarifying questions and questions for PNNL, but what we experienced for Group 1 codes, Ecotop was grilled for, with questions related to whether or not energy code proposal is good or bad proposal. So the goal for PNNL was to develop again an independent report. They started working about 10 days ago because it took a longer time to work on the contract. And the other thing was with Group 1, Group 2 codes, and with the limited time between CR 102 and when we need to file the CR 103, so we don't have unlimited time to deliver these reports anyway. PNNL will continue working on this, including after the council meeting on November 4th or whatever date if the council doesn't adopt the energy code on November 4th, and they will develop the final report, which will be based on the adopted code language. Okay, so some sections will be modified, and the PNL will take this into account. What you have before you today is the work that PNL was able to finish again for this for the limited time they had. The council staff goal is to provide the council members with as much information as we can. So for the energy code, we have the preliminary cost benefit analysis, we have comments related, testimony related to the cost benefit analysis, and they're posted on our website. And we will add the draft report for the council members to evaluate and compare with the preliminary cost benefit analysis. If you have more questions, I'll try to answer, but I'm done with my initial speech.
Okay, thanks, Diane. Are there council member questions about the process? Go ahead, Micah.
I did have some questions on the public comment portion of this. Your indication that the public comment did close, which we understand. However, this was not produced until after that closed. It seems like maybe we should be taking public comment on a little more than a limited basis. Maybe we limit the time to maybe 1 minute per individual on this topic. But I do have some concerns about limiting public comment on this, considering it was not available prior to the closing of the public comment period on the code change proposals. Thanks.
Thanks, Micah. Stoyan, do you have an opinion on that? I was also going to ask where and in what capacity we should take public comment.
And Dirk is also here if I'm violating any law, so I'm sure he will correct me. But the intent for this meeting was to introduce the draft. It's a draft report, and it's an independent report, and it's not done yet. If the committee wants to allow for public comments, I can't stop that. But again, these public comments won't be included in the file as public testimony.
Yeah, I hadn't intended to turn my camera on there, but since I did, I'll just echo what Stoyan just said, and note that the comment period for the rulemaking comment period has closed. The comments that are offered during this meeting, or any written comments that may come in, even though it's outside of the comment period, could be added to the rulemaking file, though, in the matter of course, just to fill out the record of what was considered by the members of the council and making its final determination with respect to the rules.
Thanks, Dirk. And just from my recollection from our last code cycle, this is a draft report. The one for the commercial was iterated on several times, or a few times at least, and then it was finalized only after the council voted to move this into the CR 103 process. I think Stoyan said something like that earlier. So it is a draft, but is considered a draft because it won't be final until we have a final code. And then I just wanted to, for those of you who haven't read it fully, there are 8 proposals or sections of this report, of which PNNL has done analysis on only some of them. So some of them you'll see proposal XYZ, and it has some text, but it doesn't have something that says PNNL analysis that describes PNL's analysis. Now on some of those where it doesn't have official PNNL analysis, it still has comments from PNNL on the proposal and the cost. So just as you're going through this, make sure you're reading both sections under each proposal. The other thing is that I noticed, hopefully this is trying to be helpful, is that the numbers in some cases and the scope did not align with what we told proponents to include in the original code proposals. So for instance, social cost of carbon included in the form that proponents used not included in this report, to the best of my knowledge. And then there's some other kind of differences that I'm sure we'll get to today. But I just wanted to point that out, that they're not apples to apples in terms of the way the analysis was done. And that's, maybe intentional, but it also means that we're seeing different things than the tag saw, the council saw earlier. Go ahead.
Just, sorry, one more clarification that I forgot. So why we have eight proposals there? We have 16 proposals in the energy code that have costs associated with it, and we gave a PNNL 8 that that were prioritized, and the other 8 if there is enough time to complete. And again, for the limited time, this is what you have in the report so far.
Thanks, Diane. I guess with that, I'd like to have someone from PNNL walk us briefly through the report, and then open it up to questions from the committee to PNNL on clarifying what's in the what they're talking about. So Rob or
Rob,
you have the floor.
Okay.
And then who's running the screen? Is it Krista?
Krista.
Okay, so you can suggest that Krista scroll up or scroll down based on what you want to talk about.
Okay. Would you like me to go through all 8 proposals, or just kind of the 4 that we did analysis on?
I think if you go through, if you try and spend 5 minutes running through the whole report, including all 8, I think that would be helpful. And then I noticed also that you did have comments on, and that's because you had comments on ones, even if you didn't do the full analysis, you had comments on it. So yeah, spend 5 minutes, run through the whole thing briefly. I'm sure there'll be plenty of questions.
Sure, yeah. So yeah, thanks everybody. Rob Salcedo with PNNL, senior engineer, running this analysis. So just as Stoyan was saying, we bumped into a contract issue, which kind of delayed the time for us to implement this. So we really ran into crunch time. So we were able to we picked kind of more the proposals that were actually we could do in the time frame. So the first one was the heat pump space water heater that you see on the monitor. And when we run a standard analysis, we have a published methodology that we follow. So it identifies, the strategy, which we have building up the prototypes. We have a single family and multifamily prototype. The single family is a 2,376 square foot home, 2-story rectangular box. And then there's a multifamily building, which consists of 18 dwelling units, each of 1,200 square feet. So then within these prototypes, we run 4 foundation types: a slab, a crawl, unheated basement, and a heated basement, and then 4 system types: gas furnace, electric furnace, oil furnace, and heat pump. We ran these through the Washington climate zones that we use for our state level analysis. And that's the foundation of the simulations. And then we aggregate the results based on construction weights and permits to get aggregated weighted results. These simulated results are then run through our, again, with our established methodology, defining how we run our cost effectiveness analysis. And with the economic parameters we can determine over a lifetime of a home, 30-year analysis, is this code change in general terms a cost-effective measure? So having said that, looking at this first, so we ran 4 proposals in our analysis. We ran the heat pump switch out, the heat pump water heater proposal, proposal number 4, which was the window proposal, which was a U factor change, and then number 6, which was a reduction in air leakage. So we ran those proposals in a baseline case as the Washington State, the 2018 code, and then with the proposed change. So In the case of, we'll start back with the heat pump, the space heating heat pumps. So we'll go back to proposal 1. So in this case, following the language in the proposal, space heating shall be provided by a heat pump system. And it sounded like this could be an electric heat pump or even a gas driven heat pump. So what we simply did was we took in the gas furnace case, in the electric furnace case, and the oil furnace case, we replaced those systems with an electric heat pump. So a standard, we'd use the federal minimum heat pump. And what we found, saying really briefly, was there was definitely energy savings as part of the switch from the existing systems to the electric heat pump. For the electric case, and we didn't have time to break it out into individual components. So the way our cost effectiveness analysis works is we take one code proposal, one code change, and analyze it across all our prototypes and all the system types and foundation types. And that one code change represents the proposal and is to determine, is this cost effective or is it not? We found it to not be cost effective because of when you take a gas furnace and switch it to a heat pump, while the energy reduces, the costs increase. So it basically, the annual operating costs increase. So that it's just you're reducing your gas costs, annual gas utility rates, but the electric overcompensates for that. So we're actually increasing, as we show in the line here, while the reduction in gas costs was only $553, there was a net increase in cost of $360 annually. So we defined, I think further up on there, we defined the electric and gas and oil rates we were using on this. So one of the things, so overall, this code change proposal, looking at across all our system types, was not cost effective, but we didn't have time to look at, I'm sure it's easy to say that with the electric system, the electric furnace going to a heat pump, that would definitely be cost effective. We just did not look at that one single scenario. We're looking at all of it together. So that is the reason why it took on a not a cost effective analysis. So
thanks, Rob. I have a
question. I'm long-winded on this, so I want to make sure I'm, if I want to kind of less detail on these or just kind of go through them quicker.
I guess if you're going through them in more detail, then we'll open it up to committee questions.
Sure. Yeah. We can go with it one at a time. I think that might be easiest.
Yeah, I think that's good rather than go through it all and then.
Sure.
I guess
to answer any questions.
Go ahead, Caroline.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Rob. I think on this one of my questions was around just how supplemental heat has been addressed. My understanding is that the code proposal permits the use of electric resistance or gas heat below 40 degrees. And so I'm curious if that was all at all kind of included in any of these analyses.
Yes, we modeled the backup heat as part of our simulation. So
okay.
it's we just getting into details. When you run an Energy Plus analysis, we run a design day simulation to help us auto size the heat pump. So it's based on it's sized by the climate, and then we use that size in the annual simulation. And so part of that is we also determine what's the backup electric resistance backup heat needed to serve, and then so that's part of the simulation.
Yeah, I guess just a clarifying one then. In the gas case, when you're going from, let's see, it says a gas furnace of 80 combined with a 13 SEER AC, and you're taking that and replacing it with a heat pump, are you maintaining a gas furnace in that option that operates below 40 degrees or no?
No, we didn't model a dual fuel case.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, sure.
I guess to add to that, Caroline, are you suggesting that that might be a more cost-effective option that that should be run to, because the result of any code is that the people who build it will choose whatever path they want, and so it's not like the average of all cases that is the cost of the code. It's the least cost path that is the cost of the code. I guess, are you suggesting that if that option was modeled, it might be a lower cost option?
I think it's probably better for Rob to speculate on that, but
Yeah,
if you have any thoughts.
I did not look at the what component, and we've done this in the past. We've looked at closely at our heat pump models where what is the compressor energy and what is the backup heating. I did not get a chance to look at that closely, so I could not give a definitive answer right now because I don't know what's the ratio of compressor energy to backup energy. So could definitely look at that. As as Stoyan said, we're going to be kind of getting more, looking at all the proposals, analyzing them, so I can at least look at that and determine, could it be, would during a switchover rather than electric heat go into a gas heat, what would that look like? So it's definitely, yes, it's definitely something we can look at. I don't think I could give you a definitive answer. Maybe better not.
Okay, thanks. And then I had just a question, which was about the R406 table that you used, because my understanding is a lot of the builders around the state are using heat pumps already, based on the 2018 R406 table options. And so I guess I'm trying to figure out which R406 table you used in combination with this proposal. Was it the 2021 R406 or was it the 2018 R406?
2018.
Okay, so you did go all the way through the table and pick options that would get you to the number of points. Okay.
Right, yeah, we went through, yes, we did that. So we looked at it, yeah, what is kind of for our baseline, Washington, all the prescriptive requirements plus the credit requirements.
Okay.
Now, unfortunately, my simulator had, we talked that through. I did not, that's something probably good to put in is, what's our baseline. So that we just didn't missed up on the time.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate the quick analysis, and I think that's probably why we'll have lots of comments today.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah,
appreciate it. Johnny, go ahead.
Sorry, I found my unmute button. Thank you. I had a few questions. So if you're using the R406 table, what was the efficiency for the heat pump that you chose?
Just the federal minimum.
Can I ask why like an HSPF 11 or 9.5 wasn't chosen, which is like one of the credit options?
It's just based on the proposal language. We're taking the most conservative case. Space heating shall be provided by a heat pump system, and nothing more than that on efficiency.
True, but in 2018, 85% of people chose heat pumps, according to the NIA study, and I think part of that was because of the fuel normalization points, and also because of the availability of the efficiency points when you go down the heat pump route, when you go down the fuel normalization route using a heat pump. So
yeah, it's an easy switch out. We can, simulate any level. So in this case, we're trying to be conservative, but if it's found that, in Washington state, you're seeing a much higher efficiency as a standard, we could look at that. But in the case here, again, looking at it from our perspective, what is most conservative case?
Yeah, and then the other comment I have is on the electricity cost specifically.
Mm-hmm. Krista, can you scroll down a bit? That'll have what we used.
Yeah, I read it was like 93 cents or something, 98 cents for therm for natural gas. I believe it's $1.08 is required to be used for the cost benefit analysis for the proposals submitted according to the when you submit your life cycle cost analysis for code proposals, there's requirements that are like basically you must use these inputs assumptions. So I'd be curious to kind of like have the correct values for electricity and natural gas used based on that input table. And
Yeah, we could definitely use those.
yeah, and then I think also there's some comment about mortgage rates at some point. I think that you should probably just make sure you're matching up with what those inputs are on the mortgage rate and interest rate according to the input calculator.
Do you happen to know that we use 5% for the discount rate?
That was 2.833. I could have that number wrong, but
okay,
it's an input.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an input that's on the assumption table. I don't have to look at that, but that was what I honestly, it's been like 8 months since I've looked at it, so I could have that wrong.
Okay. Yeah, if you want us to look if yeah, for those kind of rates, we're following the rates in our methodology. So yeah, 5% discount, and then others, you know, we have, you know, the tax rate, property tax rates and everything that go into, you know, figuring out mortgage rates and costs overall. So yeah.
Thanks. And if you're going to look at the more efficient heat pumps, I think it's probably fair to also look at the more efficient gas furnaces, but you also should look at the increased cost for both the increased heat pumps and gas furnaces. So it's like a HSPF 11 for like heat pumps going to cost more, but a 95% efficient AFUE furnace is going to cost more.
And, yeah, cost will completely reflect the efficiency and capacity that we're using.
That includes like venting costs for if you're installing like a furnace that requires venting.
If you're going from a condensing to non-condensing, yes, okay. Yeah.
Thank you. I have other comments on the upfront cost, but I'm not sure if we're there yet. So check me, Chell, if we're not quite there yet.
Okay, thanks. And just so everybody's clear, we're taking committee comments and then also public comments at this point. So we can take those and focused on the analysis for this heat pump space heating one. I did you know, have similar questions to Johnny about, so I guess if you choose a federal minimum product, the options table probably incentivizes you to do better than that. And I guess I want to make sure we're following the least cost path through the options table, which is what I'm guessing, you know, most builders and most homeowners would want to do is follow the least cost path through the options table. And I guess I want to make sure that whatever analysis, you know, follows that methodology. Not necessarily the most conservative option, but the least cost path, because that's what people are going to, you know, do, or at least if you're trying to build as economically as possible. Okay, Micah and Johnny, you can lower your hand too.
Thanks, Shell. My question is just going to be on this first topic on the space heating and the terminology. You know, being a voting member here, I guess my question on the terminology is you're talking about replacing. You say replacing in several sentences, including one of the first paragraphs that says the analysis for heat pump shows that replacing an electric resistance heater. Are we talking about existing? Because this is for new construction, is my understanding. And so I want to make sure that we're not doing an analysis that's talking about replacing an existing system. And so is that what you're indicating here is the replacement, or is it we're going to use, you know, a heat pump instead of a gas FAU?
That is correct. Yeah. The replacing terms is kind of from our perspective of our prototype has a gas furnace. What would it look like with a heat pump in new construction instead?
Okay. That's all I wanted to know. I just want to make sure we were just based on terminology. I was understanding the way you were interpreting the terminology with the way we should be interpreting it. So thanks.
Right. You have it correct. Yes.
Thanks, Micah. Henry.
Thanks, Joe. I think everyone's had great comments. I don't need to cover what's already been said. But I do think, when you're doing analysis like this, comparing like for like, so electric versus electric, or going a swap and then giving an average value for the state, those paint two very different stories, and you've kind of already touched on that. But I think if we are going to give an average impact, having some baseline assumptions for kind of what went into your weighting. So you mentioned 4 different heating systems and 2 prototypes, just kind of how those are weighted together would be really good to know. And as I think Johnny already mentioned, the most recent 2018 NEA code study is really insightful for quantity of heat pumps already in the state. And I think it'll probably also touch on, climate zones as well. And then finally, back to the code minimum versus higher efficiency, that'll have a massive impact on the amount of backup heating. So code minimum heat pumps basically going to be electric resistance at 40 degrees and lower. And if you look at Spokane, and well, especially Spokane, the majority of the heating is going to be electric resistance if that's the case. If you do spec a higher efficiency equipment, you can expect some COP and reduced backup electric. And then back to Caroline's point, if it is code minimum, that gas backup and climate zone over in Spokane will be much more cost effective in this approach. So thanks for the study. Just a couple pieces of advice. Thanks.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, like I'll definitely check out that NEA report and see, kind of give a more educated switch out on, what is the efficiency on that heat pump we want to look at. Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, a couple of questions. The UTC yesterday approved rate increases for the gas utilities that range from 12 to 23%. That's going to increase average bills by $9 to $13 a month. Are those new gas rates reflected in your analysis?
No, they weren't.
Okay, so
we have just a I'd have to. I thought I had my fuel escalation rates that we use, Andy, but those new rates were not. No. Do you where those can be found?
The UTC issued a bulletin that came out yesterday that details the new rates. I can send it to you if you let me know how to get it to you.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, yeah. So if it came out yesterday, yeah, that definitely was not part of our analysis.
Yeah, but that is the new rates that'll be in effect across Washington State for all 4 of our gas utilities. That'll be substantially higher. Second question is, does this take into account the impact of the Climate Commitment Act and the impact it will have on anticipated future gas rates, particularly for new buildings?
I'm not aware of it, but so no, it was not. What can you give me a little quick synopsis? So
the Climate Commitment Act was passed by the legislature last year, and it requires a 95% reduction in greenhouse gases by 2050. And it sets up a cap and trade market. So utilities will have to acquire steadily declining allowances to, which means that, of course, they'll get increasingly expensive. And it does provide protection for gas rate increases for existing customers. In fact, utilities are required as they receive some free allowances in the cap and trade market, and then when they sell those, the proceeds they have to use to reduce bills for existing customers. But the law prohibits them from using those proceeds to provide bill credits for future customers. So any buildings that are hooked up to the gas system after the law goes into effect next year will not be protected from rate increases from the law. So there'll be a huge difference between the impact on gas prices for existing homes versus new construction. And so that's why I was curious if you have taken that into account for any new construction.
No, this analysis did not account for that.
Okay. Might want to look at that as well, because that's going to have a really big impact for future construction.
Okay.
Thank you, Brian. As has happened before, there's an infinite amount of detail and interesting things we could put in the report. and a limited amount of time to do so. But those are really good points. Thanks for bringing them up. Ty.
Yes, thank you. I just would caution a little bit on the approach suggested there, because there's very challenging aspects to predicting how utility costs will increase. And that's going to be uniform between both the electrical and the gas systems. So using current rates may be the fairest approach, because we really don't have a way of accurately predicting either. The other thing I'll just briefly comment on is that if taking high efficiency heat pumps through the R406 tables is suggested, I would recommend doing the same for gas systems as well. The reason I suggest that is if you are installing a gas system, you are absolutely very likely to take one of the energy credit options for a high efficiency appliance. So if we're suggesting that we modify or take credits for a heat pump, it should be done equitably for the gas system as well. I just want to make sure that that was clear and understood by the folks with PNNL.
Okay.
Thanks, Ty. Go ahead, Damon.
Thanks, Joe. Just want to remind everybody that the energy code is a code minimum. It is the base that we start with. There's nothing to preclude somebody from going more high efficiency. So if we're going to be comparing one system to another, we need to pick the minimums in both cases. So I think the approach that they took was correct.
Thanks, Damon. Okay, I see no more hands up. Hopefully everybody understands that you raise your hand by going to reactions, and then there's the raise hand feature, and that's how I'll call on people. If for some reason you can't do that, just unmute and shout it out, but we'll try and limit that. Okay. All right, well, let's move on to the next one, as it appears there's no more comments. I guess from Stoyan and Rob's perspective, if we are providing direction or suggestions for council staff or PNNL, should we do that on a per item basis, do you think? Or would it be better to wait till the end and then attempt to provide direction more universally? And does the direction need to be voted on, or are we simply kind of nodding and saying, yes, okay, we'll do that. We'll include that. And yeah.
It's up to the committee. And again, I want to make the difference again between direction for a council staff and direction for PNNL. The idea for these contracts, and it's outlined in the law as well, that it's an independent third-party report. So it's up to the committee. If you want to provide a direction for a council staff, you can do it on a case-by-case, proposal by proposal, or you can do it at the end of the meeting.
Okay, maybe we'll wait till the end of the meeting, because we might have multiple similar ideas and different proposals, or different analysis of proposals. Okay, so we would, if we would do anything, we would direct, or we would suggest to council staff that they tell PNNL that we'd like to see this or that. Is that kind of what you said, Stan? Like, we're not directing PNNL to do something, because it's independent third party, but you can suggest that they do things if we tell you to do so.
You can suggest through me or directly.
Okay.
It doesn't make any difference.
Okay. Okay. All right. Just trying to get clear on it. All right. Let's go to the heat pump water heater one.
Okay, so this one was similar. We don't have to explain all the prototypes we ran through, but in this case, the proposal was to have heat pump water heaters, and the term, I see this replace, and Micah's comment, we are rather adding in, instead of the standard water heaters we had in place for these models, we put in the heat pump water heater at a 2.8 uniform energy factor. And in this, we looked at all these single family prototypes. Didn't do this in the multifamily. So with these heat pump water heaters, one thing in our models is we place these in conditioned space with the venting to the conditioned space. So we recognize the models captured that there was cooling supplied to the space. So reduce the cooling loads, but increase the heating loads. We do not have a space. We're talking about one of the things we've discussed with our heat pump water heater models is adding a garage that it's a possibility that we could either put the water heater there, or maybe we have to find a way to vent. And so with our airflow network, we still have to figure out how that works. And we've been in discussions with the NREL folks who program Energy Plus to see how we would do that with the way our venting model works. So having said that, we kind of saw similar behavior with the heat pump space heater proposal. Is we saw decreases across all systems except in the gas system, and maybe this is because maybe our gas rate is a little too low from what's been requested to be used for the proposals. So we found it, is basically, it was cost effective across all systems except the gas system. So overall, again, since we looked at this as one proposal across all systems, it was not cost effective, but it could be cost effective from everything but the gas system. Every case reduced energy. So we ran this. Our cost, we put in an 80-gallon heat pump water heater at an incremental increase of roughly $1,900, given today's rates or costs. So I don't know if that was the one. I don't know if there's a more lenient cost in the Washington area. So if this was a lower cost, it would definitely be cost effective across most of the system types. So I will leave it at that and open it up for questions. We're happy to explain anything else that I missed.
Caroline, you have the floor.
Thanks, Chell. Yeah, I guess my first question, looking at the table, I think if you scroll up a touch, Krista, to where it kind of shows those results. So just so I'm clear, these bullet points here where it's showing the cost and energy savings, those bullet points are referring to the heating, the space heating system in the home or dwelling?
Yes.
Okay, and then these are aggregated then across all different baseline types of water heaters within that space heating system type?
So yeah, it's a great question. And so when in these prototypes, we have the 4 system types, as you see there. So we typically run the same fuel type as the heating system. So for an electric system, we're running a standard electric resistance water heater. For the gas, it's a gas storage water heater. Heat pump, electric resistance water heater, and oil furnace is a fuel oil water heater. So so in addition, we're looking at a different type of water heater and a fuel switch for each of these, except for the electric systems, it's a fuel switch.
Okay. And then scrolling down just a touch, yeah, to kind of the main finding, again, just so I'm clear there. So if the incremental cost of the heat pump water heater is $1,800, the modeling and weighted aggregates and everything would show it was cost effective. But if it was $2,000, then it's not. Is that an accurate takeaway?
Right. Okay. So again, we could look at it individually by fuel type and system type, say it's cost effective here, it's not cost effective here, but this is, again, the way our cost effectiveness methodology runs is we look at one change code proposal. Is it cost effective across all the system types, foundation types, the climate zones in the state? So yeah, it could definitely, if there's a lower cost, absolutely would be cost effective. More costly, it would probably across more systems would not be cost effective. So
okay, thank you.
Thanks, Caroline. Corey.
Yeah, I just had a question. So you were trying to use similar water heaters, but for the gas, it's far more common using on demand. Was that calculated at all in your analysis, using on demand gas for domestic water heater?
As the baseline case, no. It is, we have it as an advanced feature for our energy credits, but for our baseline prototype, the gas furnace system has a gas storage water heater.
Thank you.
Thanks, Corey. Are there other questions? Micah?
Sorry, just a kind of a not knowing or understanding how you get from one thing to the next. Do you have a BTU cost? I mean, I see the numbers at the beginning of this, but it seems like all the information on the cost or usage percentages are in BTUs, but I don't know how you're getting, you know, do you have a BTU, again, maybe for the layman like me, is that somewhere in there? I see that, you know, a $71 decrease. How do you get to that from the other number? I know it's some mathematical equation, but you know, that would be helpful. Maybe that's just me. Thanks.
No, that's fine. Yeah. So how do we get to that is we do have, you know, each system type, foundation type, climate zone has a weight associated with it. So we run thousands of simulations. For when we say electric system, that alone probably has, you know, numerous energy plus simulations that run, and then each one of those has a weight, and it has, you know, we look at the baseline case and then the advanced case, in this case with the heat pump water heater, what's the delta in energy, and then we weight those, and to get that average. So what I would consider that 2944 for electric system is an average aggregated decrease in energy. It make it simple. I could, you know, we could produce the baseline case and the updated case. So you could do the, you know, and then the result, and you'd see the math right there. So it'd be easier to understand, but that's kind of how we get to each of these results. Does that answer your question, Micah?
Yeah, it helps. I just, you know, going through this, it's not very intuitive based on the numbers, and I know that's, you know, you all can explain this, but if I had to go to explain this to someone or the people the folks I represent on the SBCC, I'm not sure that I could, based on the you know, the differentials between each of those items. And so I just, you know, I'm looking at it as something that we need, maybe something a little more simplistic. I hate to call it that, but that's kind of what I'm looking at. As far as being able to explain that information to folks and say, yes, this is what it shows here. It's an increase or a decrease, and this is why. You know, based on the information there, I don't think I could do that to anyone right now. So thank you.
Okay, no, great point.
The result. This is Matt Tyler with PNNL. The simulation results are provided in therms and kWh, and just for a shorthand, we've combined those just through simple units conversions into kBTU. And so for the dollar values there, those are the therms times the cost of the therm plus the kWh times the cost of the kWh. And there might be some fuel oil in there as well in a small number of the cases. And so just for the sake of brevity in this analysis, we just rolled up the again, the therms and kWh into kBTUs.
Thanks, Micah. Johnny.
Hey, sorry, it took me a minute to unmute. Yeah, so for the heat pump water heater, kind of similar comment about updating the cost to reflect what the you know, the proponents like myself who helped do the economic analysis for the original proposal, like matching those up would be helpful. I'm curious about the heat pump water heating efficiency. I know you used a different, I think you know, kind of similar to the heat pump, using a value that matches up with the tier 3 NEA proposal would probably make sense, and looking at that NEA study on what was actually likely chosen in 2018 for the options on the options table would be helpful. I I am curious to see if there's even really commercially available heat pump water heaters with an efficiency of, I think it was 2.8. When I did kind of a look, when originally writing the proposals, I was pretty unable to find heat pump water heaters that have like lower efficiencies. They just happen to have pretty high UEFs at this point.
Yeah, I've seen 3.4.
And then kind of an overall, yeah. So that you know, it's like, okay, sure, federal minimum might be 2.8, but if you can't even buy a 2.8 because they aren't commercially available, then I don't know if that's realistic. But you know, there are 58, 59% efficient gas water heaters available. In fact, so I think that's the difference between the electric heat pump route, heat pump water heating out, and the gas water heating route. If you are going to look at the tier 3 heat pump water heater, like I said before, I do think it's fair for you to also look at the R4SX. And then kind of a global comment. I noticed that you didn't include the infrastructure costs for gas infrastructure. And, you know, the Code Council is considering these proposals in aggregate. They're considered right now like all part of one package. So I think it does make sense to look at what an integrated proposal might look like, where both heat pumps and heat pump water heaters are passed, and whether or not when you take away the gas infrastructure costs, which right now there is proceedings with the UTC to eliminate line extension allowances as a part of Puget Sound Energy's current rate case settlement. It's not approved yet, but it seems very likely it will be. That, you know, adding $2,000 extra cost when those line extension allowances are eliminated would potentially push those proposals to even be more cost effective. Yeah, I will check at this point. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Johnny. No, yeah. I mean, I noticed in the proposals there was, you know, looking at costs of, you know, the gas infrastructure, you know, removal, and so again, you know, from our perspective, taking this, we're doing a very conservative approach, and you know, not seeing this as an electrification type of thing where all now, you know, we got a heat pump space heater, and then the water heater, and you know, the appliances are all electric, then yeah, then that's going to be the case. But in this case, you know, unless instructed, if that's going to be an all electric home and we don't need that infrastructure, that wouldn't be a cost. But it's something we can look into if we're instructed that way. So yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Thanks, Johnny. Go ahead, Kevin.
Thank you. You're double muted there. Quick question. You note in the analysis that heating energy increased, and I was curious, do you have a sense of what that increase was?
I looked at it. I don't know, and I can't say if it's how much of an impact, but I could, you know, that's something we could add into this as part of the, you know, we see a general increase in heating of 10%, 15%, and cooling reduced X%. So I don't have that right now, but I mean, I was looking at those numbers and just noticing that there was an increase and decrease. So happy to present them. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious too, because it's been a point of contention for some folks. It's it's kind of a mystery actually how the heat pump interacts with the building, right, with a home.
Yeah, I have one in my basement, and it's cool in the basement.
Imagine that.
But yeah, so again, you know, I was it's kind of mentioning, I think it was Micah's question, where, you know, these are multiple simulations to get to the results. So you look at one and you could say, oh, this individual simulation showed an increase of X, but we need to really yank out what is it in aggregate. So, but it can definitely present those. Yeah.
And then if I may ask a follow-up question.
Sure.
As far as line extension allowances and such, I know when this proposal was reviewed in the tag was only allowed to look at what is current law, not what might happen. I don't know if you have a similar caveat.
I maybe on caveat to should their line extension the removal be part of this? Or?
Correct.
It's hard to say because I see this in proposal by proposal. So we're trying to look at specifically what does the language say in the proposal, and it doesn't say anything about all electric. You know, obviously, all these proposals go through and they're voted on, and yes, heat space, you know, electric water heaters, electric heat pump water heaters, all appliance electric, you've got that case. But we're looking at these individually. So we're trying to be conservative in worst case scenario. But like I said, if that's something, you know, the committee, the councils want us to look at and be part of the cost effectiveness, sure. It would be interesting though, because then we would have to say, let's look at the heat pump water heater and the heat pump space heater together with that line infrastructure cost. Then it would be more realistic, I would say.
Gotcha. And I guess as you noted before, it could be a gas-fired heat pump, even in that case.
True.
So, enough said. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Kevin. And just on that note of what you two were talking about, I think in the last report we had for residential energy code 3 years ago, the report did include the options paths selected, and I think that was really helpful for for me at least to understand how, you know, the paths were selected. They got to the analysis, like why is it X dollars more, X dollars less? What did you select? Did you select, you know, if someone selects a code minimum gas furnace, it's probably they're likely, as was said earlier, to select a higher efficiency furnace. And likewise, if someone selects a heat pump, they're likely to select a higher efficiency heat pump. So finding the lowish cost path through the code in these different scenarios seems like a good way to approach it, and then also a good bit to include in the report as to how you got to the which homes were looked at in here.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say to add in onto that is as part of the contract, we're going to be looking at, you know, we're going to kind of do a detailed analysis of each of the proposals, but in the end of what has been approved in the final code is we're going to do an overall review of that in the same methodology. And if that's, you know, if it is going to be electric heat pump and, you know, the heat pump water heater, then we may, you know, part of that cost may be the infrastructure, the gas infrastructure. So we can see how everything transpires and determine if that's we'll include that in.
Thanks. Johnny, you still have your hand up, but I'm going to go to Henry.
Thanks, Joe. Just a quick reference that you might want to look at is the RTF approved measures list. They've done a ton of work with installing heat pump water heaters in both new and electric houses with all sorts of heating types, and it looks at the interaction of the heat pump water heater with the heating energy use and kind of helps clarify that. And they have also, you know, they've done all this work to approve beyond code programs for all the utilities. So just a quick plug for that. RTF UES approved measures. There's a ton of good info there.
Is that something just online that you can look up?
Yep. Yeah, they have a really quite extensive kind of Excel summary of all their runs. They did it every climate zone, all the kind of combinations. So yeah, you can just Google that, RTF UES, and then residential heat pump water heater.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Henry. Micah.
Thanks again. I just had kind of another question. Maybe this could be answered by maybe Corey or even Damon on the location or the location of the water heaters in Washington State, are you seeing more of those in conditioned space as compared to garages? And, my question just is concerning this analysis because it only takes into account those water heaters in conditioned space. So could either one of you maybe answer that on what you're seeing on average? Thanks.
I think most water heaters are still probably located in the garage. They're very well insulated. They're high, you know what I mean? They're set up to, it just depends. Like a natural gas one is more than likely to be in the garage if it's natural draft. But again, the water heater itself is insulated, and the piping going into the wall where the wall is insulated is typically insulated as well. So you're not losing a lot of energy, on a heat cycle, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? The water heaters themselves are high efficiency because there's a layer between the storage tank and any exterior air. And as far as what energy is lost, I'd have to rely on PNNL or somebody to do an analysis for it. But most water heaters, it depends. We're talking about a shift to electrification, and so that part is going to change. And but a storage water heater, electric, gas, whatever it is insulated very well anymore.
Corey, the question for me, are those garages insulated? Because it's with a heat pump water heater, it's going to be taking in that cold air to, that's going to be used to source the heat for that water heater. So it would make a difference, even insulated and piping insulated. So I'm just curious, are they conditioned or mostly just as I would expect unconditioned?
Yeah, it just depends. If people work in the garage, they'll put they'll put some heat out there for the winter if they're working on cars, but yeah. Typically the water heater is located on the interior wall going to the house. So that wall is typically warmer than the rest of the garage, and they're typically located in a pocket that eliminates a lot of airflow across it. So generally speaking, for like a gas heater, you're going to get some heat every time it fires.
Okay.
I did have another question along the lines I was going to ask if Micah, is that, I don't.
No,
Micah,
you answered my
got-
question. Thanks. And if Damon wanted to add to that, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I could just add a little bit. I'm seeing the bulk of water heater installations in garages. Garages, of course, are a semi-conditioned space. For the heat pump water heaters, they say you need a minimum of 700 cubic feet if you have it in a room. And even in those conditions, you can see a temperature drop of 5 to 10 degrees. So moving them into the conditioned envelope is detrimental to the space heating. If you do put it in conditioned space, there are vent kits that you can run for both the exhaust and the intake, but they're rather large. So you go from needing 4 square feet of space to beyond that to be able to run the vent kits as well. So yeah, garages are probably the preferred location for a heat pump water heater.
Thank you. I guess with that information, would PNNL be able to provide that in the analysis for those locations instead of conditioned space? Thanks.
Yeah, we'll definitely look into that.
Thanks, Micah. Corey.
Jill, sorry, point of order, if I can add a little bit.
Sure.
The meeting was scheduled to 11:30, so there we need to extend, as far as I see it, to extend the meeting.
Okay. Anybody who so moved?
I can move that to noon if that works.
I'm just gonna ask a question. Can our committee members stay until noon?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion to extend until noon. Is there a second?
I'll second. This is Corey.
Okay. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Sorry, I should have asked during further discussion, Jill, but can our P&L guests stay until noon as well?
Yeah, not a problem.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Okay. And Caroline, did you vote aye on that as well?
I did. Sorry if I didn't. I now vote aye.
Okay, so the ayes have it. We are going until at least noon. And thank you for everybody for sticking around. Okay, Corey, back to you.
All right, understanding that I thought we had a longer meeting, so we're diving down a rabbit hole. We start talking about the energy source, whether it's going to be gas or electric. I just had a question. Is there a plug number in there for, like, if we're going to electrify the way we're going to electrify the, standard 200 amp panel probably isn't going to suffice anymore. Is there cost increase for the circuits needing to be run for a heat pump water heater, heat pump furnace? Do you guys add a baseline for the electrical costs as well as you might for gas supply?
No, we don't. We make the assumption that the panel can handle the capacity. So if we want to take that scenario, we could definitely consider it. But in this analysis, we're looking at strictly at the equipment.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just a note on that. We did analysis for Louisville, Colorado after the Marshall Fire, and they had an all electric code. So we did include panel capacity increase. So we have the capability. We just did not do it on this one.
Okay, thanks, Rob and Corey. Brian.
Yeah, just want to clarify the earlier discussion. So in this proposal for heat pump water heaters, you're still assuming it's a gas furnace with the associated costs for the line extension and the gas infrastructure, and vice versa. The evaluating the heat pump for space heating, it would assume a gas water heater with the associated costs.
I'll try and answer that. I think if I understand you, yes. So in the case of this gas system, it's a gas furnace. The baseline is gas furnace with a gas storage water heater, federal minimum efficiency. The updated case is same gas furnace with a electric heat pump water heater. Assuming the panel can handle it, so we didn't add a cost for the panel, and still has gas infrastructure, so we did not reduce any of that cost. So that's kind of the comparison. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So you didn't model the actual proposal, which is for both heat pump space and water heating, which would then presumably not have the associated gas infrastructure costs.
Right. No. So yeah, we're looking just at the water heating side here and just keeping the systems as they are originally. So and that kind of falls on the comment I made earlier, is if we were looking at combining, then it would make sense possibly to remove that gas infrastructure, account for that cost. And then probably, but on the flip side, account for a panel upgrade for both of those. So yes, we could look at it anyway as whatever, we're asked to look at. So, but in this case, for these proposals, we're looking strictly at what is the code language, what's the code change.
Thanks, Brian and Rob. Andrea, go ahead.
Yeah, Andrea with BIW. I just wanted to say thank you to PNNL for preparing this. And I think this is what a lot of industry stakeholders were looking for, is a true third-party analysis of the costs associated. So just wanted to say thank you for preparing that. And as you're maybe evaluating changes in an upcoming draft before final is due, of course, is maybe considering not utilizing all proponent data from the proposals, just because some of those sources are questionable. So I just wanted to caution you all on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andrea. Shall we move on to the next one? And I guess in the interest of time,
in the interest of time, I would suggest we just go to the ones we analyzed.
Yep. Okay, that sounds good.
So that for the U factor replacement in the window, it was, pretty simple, straightforward. Going from in our baseline code, we had the 0.30 windows at 0.30 U factor, moving them to.
Rob, just a second. Just to go back to where we were, right now, the CR 102 requires hot water systems to be installed within the building thermal envelope unless they have an efficiency greater than 2.0 UEF. So the heat pump water heaters wouldn't need to be installed in an indoor condition. Just to make that clear.
What was this from?
This is the CR 102. This is regarding the heat pump water heaters. That they would not be installed indoors, or they would not need to be installed indoors. Just
okay.
That one, and I guess that's in comparison to the prior one we were just talking about, where we were talking about the heat losses and heat gains from heat pump water heaters. So I don't know. I guess they're two separate proposals, but they would be combined in the final code. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. Go ahead with U factors.
Okay. Can you scroll down a little bit, Krista, just to the analysis section? Yeah, this one was pretty, we didn't provide, there was just, this was a very simple upgrade or analysis for us, replacing the windows from a U factor 0.3 to a U factor 0.28, usually utilizing the same solar heat gain coefficient. You see that this was saved $148 a year for single family, $50 for multifamily. The corresponding energy savings, again, these were aggregate savings, cost and energy savings across all the prototypes, all the system, we we have all the system types and all the foundation types utilized. What is these are the aggregate savings overall. So it was able to cover, this is one that was just barely cost effective, but yeah, showing the life cycle cost savings of $2.5, $2.50. So it was just, like I said, it just met the requirement of being cost effective and the payback of 15 years. I didn't place in here what the costs were. I might have to look at that, what we estimated. But this, so again, so just kind of quickly in the interest of time, this was deemed cost effective on our side. I can look up if someone wants it while we're talking, I can look up what our costs were that we used for this. But I will, not much more to explain here, so I just kind of open it up for questions on this one as well. And these are costs that we, kind of, I think that were part of the proposal, the original proposal that we just duplicated, but we used our costs.
All right, I'm not seeing any comments, so let's move on.
Okay, the next one is the air leakage proposal. If you can scroll down, Krista. So yeah, just kind of on the same terms, this is a fairly straightforward analysis, moving from air leakage in all prototypes from 5 air changes per hour at 50 pascals to 3. So in this one, I did add the cost. So we're estimating it's about $1,900, just over $1,900 to tighten up the home for a single family home, and then about $439 for a multifamily dwelling unit. So we had aggregated energy cost savings $63 per year. So this again also showed cost effective with a lifetime value savings of $322. So this one, yeah, this saved enough over the 30-year period that it was truly cost effective. I did not place a simple payback in here. It would be shorter than the window payback, but yeah, this was showing cost effective.
Thanks, Rob. Damon.
Rob, I'm curious what components you use to determine the $1,900 cost. The only thing I know on the market right now that can give you a guaranteed ACH is arrow barrier. And that typically runs about $2 a square foot. So in a 3,000 square foot home, you're looking at $6,000. So yeah, just what components did you use to achieve the reduction in air leakage?
Yeah, we did not consider the arrow barrier cost, and I know they're guarantees, but this is more of just a general tightening of the home. And this, we have a cost database we use from a third party that developed for us, that, you know, based on the wrap and then just kind of caulking and tightening of the home, this was our best estimate. So 6,000 for this case, for 23, that would be about $5,000. That seems pretty high for ceiling. But again, that's just the numbers we have from our cost database.
Thank you.
Thanks, Damon. I see no more hands. So let's move on.
Those were the 4 proposals we analyzed.
Okay. I noticed also that you had comments on the R406. And I was wondering what, it seemed more like a desktop analysis than a you know, redoing all the numbers analysis, but you suggested that you're likely to find the same, come to similar conclusions if you did the analysis.
On
the R406 one. That's, yeah, that one. Yeah, there's a lot of words and some of them are just, here's what we would do. And
yeah,
then,
this was,
yeah.
Sorry, keep going. I interrupted.
No, I was done.
Okay. Yeah, this is what we told Stoyan was we would just go through and look and see what we could do what we would do to analyze this. And this one would take some, you know, because there's so many combinations, potential combinations of what would meet those requirements, and what is the base. You know, we'd have to determine what is the accurate baseline to determine what's, you know, and then the upgraded case, you know, it's just going to take a lot of, you know, when you think of credit tables, you know, what's the right, here's what's required in the current case, the 2018 code, what are the measures and what are the requirements in the new code? And then what's, you know, so what is the delta? And there's so many combinations of possibilities that it's the part of just figuring out what to actually analyze is going to take time.
Yeah.
It's the reason why in our determination studies, we only do the prescriptive manifestation of the code, because with the R405, the total performance of the 406, which is the ERI path, there's so many combinations, it would be hard to determine what's the right one that picks what is the code efficient, or what is the efficiency of the code. So that's why we typically do the prescriptive. So this is kind of building outside of that with all the potential combinations. So it's just going to be figuring out what is the right strategy.
Yeah, and it's understood, I think, by everybody here that what you did is pretty good for the amount of time that you had, and that we would all like a lot more detail on absolutely everything, but that might not be possible, and you have to find the right amount of what is useful.
I'd be happy to give you all the spreadsheets and data. You have more data than you ever knew what to do with. But yeah, no, I agree with you. With the more extent time, we can definitely produce more of our determination level, you know, analysis, which is kind of going through, showing weights, and more, you know, kind of easier, to Micah's case, you know, a better explanation of how we got the results.
Yeah, and I would love to see the R406 paths that you used with the heat pump water heater and heat pump space heater. combinations to get there. And include to my points and other people's points that we think that the lower cost path would probably include above federal minimum gas equipment and above federal minimum heat pump equipment. So I think that would change. That would be interesting information at least to have at the ready. Okay, so Jarrett.
Yes, may I back up to the previous topic?
Please.
Yeah, just talking about the cost of the aero barrier product. Having negotiated a pretty good rate on that as a volume builder. With this size of house, there's no way you could get that cost under about $3,000. And I think that that's a very good rate. So just thought that comment would be helpful. And I think most people on a production scale really struggle to get under 3 ACH by any other means than hiring a company like that.
Okay.
Thanks, Jarrett.
Thank
Good
you.
information. Okay. I guess we've gone through the pieces of the report where PNNL did some form of analysis. We've taken comments on that, and I guess what should we agree on what we'd like PNNL to do, and then balance that with what can be done. Rob, you may know that we have a council meeting in 2 days' time that we would love to have all the information we asked for today by then, but we realize that's impossible and not fair at all to you.
I can have some of it for sure. Yeah, I mean, like what the R406, what we used from R406. Yeah, I can add a little bit more for sure. I don't know, but I don't know. I can have it available. I don't know if the council would take anything. This is a question for Stoyan. They have what they have. Would they accept anything updated?
Yes, if we can make it available for the council members, well, as early as you can, but it should be as late as let's say Thursday afternoon, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
No, I could do that. Okay. I've taken notes, so yeah, I can. I'll add in what I can.
Thank you, Rob. Caroline.
Yeah, I guess just in terms of action today, it feels like Rob took notes and heard all the comments, and given the third-party nature, that he will incorporate or address what he can and what information he has. So I'm not quite sure if we would want to create more specific direction than that. That's just my thought there. I'm curious if other folks have other opinions.
Makes sense. I guess if there were any priorities we had, but I think yeah, I don't know, Rob, do you feel like you have enough information, or would you like us to do more to provide you with what we would like to see?
No, there were some great comments. They're very helpful. I think the only thing I would say is I'm going to continue on the path of following that, what we've done already, meaning, when we think about costs, that we're focusing on the proposal, not what it could mean down the line. So if everyone's okay with that, we're not going to consider panel capacity costs. We're not the gas infrastructure. But like I said, when we see what is finally approved, those might be considerations we'll take. So if that's okay with everybody, unless otherwise, I got great comments, and so I know the direction forward. I've just wanted to kind of clear that piece up. We're going to continue on the same strategy as far as those costs go.
Okay, thanks, Rob. That's really helpful. Caroline, did you have?
Yeah, I guess I just had one more general comment, just that our charge as a council is to find the most cost-effective path to achieve the required energy reductions. And so just looking across the measures as well, it's just interesting also to look at the incremental first cost and how much energy savings that actually gets us. So anyway, appreciate that info being in here as well. So thanks. Thank you for all the great work.
Thanks, Caroline. And just to, I think to be clear about what Caroline said is, I think our charge, there's the energy reduction charge, which is really important. And then there's also the probable benefits exceed the probable costs. And that isn't simply dollars and cents to homeowners. That includes many other things possibly. So this is a limited analysis that doesn't look at social cost of carbon and other benefits that that might accrue. And I think it's hard to get those in there, but it's important to realize that our mandate is broader than simply is it cost effective for homeowner X, Y, and Z. It's a broader mandate than that we have for requirements. So just adding to what Caroline said, Corey.
Thank you, Chell. Yeah, just as far as this goes, this is a complicated issue because it's got so many other things tied to it. For the purposes of this analysis, I just appreciate that we stick to the energy savings. With that, I just had a follow-up, Robert. Is it possible to compare the energy savings for a tankless gas water heater in your current setup for the water heater stuff? Is it possible to see the savings, the energy cost savings, energy savings?
I mean, we have instant water heaters in our infrastructure as an upgraded case. So are you saying as that as a baseline, or
I just didn't know if you have anything that you could compare it to, because you're trying to compare kind of similars just to see, but I just know that on-demand water heaters are real common, and so and they're more efficient. They don't heat water unless you're using it, and so I just was wondering if there's a way to show the energy savings for it.
Yeah, we can, but it just to be being clear, it's just saying it's not our baseline prototype. It's what we consider an updated case. So in the 2021 IECC, as far as what they call the additional efficiency options, one is potentially a gas instant water heater, and that's we looked at that analysis. So we do have the capability, but in this, it won't play into the case of that heat pump water heater switch out because it's not our baseline.
That's what I was trying to ask, because you're trying to compare like for like. So I was hoping to get that information because I know they're energy efficient, but thank you.
Okay. Sure.
Thanks, Corey. Go ahead, Johnny.
Yeah, for I gave a few comments, and one of them was like about the input requirements that's used for the proposals initially, and I believe somebody from PNNL was like, yeah, could you send that to me? Is it okay for folks who have that kind of information to send that to the authors? Or should I be directing that to SBCC? Like, if I want to pass on information like that.
Johnny, I would suggest you send that to Stoyan.
Okay.
And then he can forward it on to PNNL. Does that sound good, Stoyan?
Yes.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah,
And that was the
great.
RTF thing that you mentioned.
Yeah, Johnny, that'd be awesome to get whatever information you have.
Thanks, Johnny. Roger.
Yeah, I mean, I've listened in this morning and I understand anytime you start comparing things, there are a myriad of various options that you can include or not include, including, the gas infrastructure, the upgrade of the panel on the electric. If I'm going to get, as a SBCC member, if I'm going to get some information Thursday night and want to look at that information and have it help to determine my decisions on Friday, it would be really helpful for me, not only for it to include, here is what we've studied, but a list of some of the things that were brought up today that we did not address, like infrastructure, gas and electric infrastructure upgrades. So just particularly if I had not listened in today. I know it would be really helpful for me to better understand what information I have if I knew there were these other costs out there that may or may not influence the costs, but were not included in this analysis. So just a minor request.
Yep, I see a lot of reports that have exclusions kind of at the end and or limitations or whatever. So
I mean, even, you know, it's not upgrade, but there were, you know, the hot water on demand is an option, you know, that there are upgrades, but this study does not include all of those things. So
Micah wants less information and Roger wants more information.
I just want information that's listed. I want some of those that, you know, if people are not listening, council members.
Yep.
I would have a question. Does it include, you know, the infrastructure upgrade or not? And just if I know it doesn't, that just helps me digest the information that is presented. So.
Yep. Thanks, Roger. Micah.
I don't necessarily want less info. I just want more simplified information.
Yep. Yeah. Sorry, I mischaracterized what you said.
No, it's all good. I'm going to parrot kind of what Corey mentioned here on the heat pump water heaters. I understand your baseline is to compare like for like, but my concern is, and I'm not a builder all the time, but I would be comparing cost for cost. When you're talking about a heat pump water heater at $1,900, that's the initial cost compared to another storage tank water heater. Where I think Corey was talking about, you know, the on demand cost wise is probably the same.
Micah, I don't know if anybody else is losing you, but I'm losing you a bit.
I thought it might have been on my side, so he's cutting out. Yeah.
Yeah. He's frozen on my screen now, so.
I lost a lot of what he said, unfortunately.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Micah, could you turn off your video and see if that?
Yeah. Does that help at all?
So far,
so far.
Okay. I was just talking about the like for like on cost, not the like for like on type, where I think that a on-demand water heater would probably be a similar cost to the heat pump water heater, where an electric resistance storage or gas-fired storage is probably lower cost initially. So I was kind of parroting what Corey was talking about. If that's possible, I know it's short term, but that would be great. Thanks.
Thanks, Micah. Okay, so we are nearly out of time. I think this concludes the review of that. Is there other business? We didn't talk about it in the agenda. Is there other business? Okay, then with great pleasure, I will adjourn the meeting. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see many of you on Friday.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.